This organized chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. The Avatar, is there an Avatar 2 one? Oh yeah, let's check out the Avatar 2 one, that's coming out.
It's been 13 years since Avatar was released in theaters and became the biggest box office hit of all time. But despite the fact that there's been such a long gap, it looks like the hype is real for Avatar 2, The Way of Water, as it's set to completely and totally dominate the box office this weekend, not just here domestically, but also internationally. And if it does the numbers that it's looking at, not only will it be the biggest box office opening of this year, but it's going to completely and totally debunk and embarrass all of the people who have been making excuses for Marvel, been making excuses for these other big budget.
How? It's a big event movie. You know, Top Gun Maverick and Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, am I back on? It looks like I'm back on. Let me check YouTube here. Stupid internet connection. By the way, I'm going to be experimenting with a different internet connection soon, so we will see how that works. Let's see. Okay, it looks like I am live. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we were looking at Ryan Kinel and his awful... Like, he's talking about how Avatar 2, if it's successful, will destroy Marvel, which makes no sense, considering Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange, a Doctor Strange sequel, made almost $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion. But somehow Avatar 2 will debunk that there is a COVID slump in the box office. Let's just take Marvel out of the equation. Does it debunk the fact that all movies are suffering this? Because it's not just Marvel.
Global opening, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, is set to be a hit regardless of what these people want to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Marvel, Disney, bad. Avatar, Disney, good. Thank you, thought process. Yes.
About the pandemic. Avatar, The Way of Water charts course for year's best global box office opening. James Cameron's long...
Yes. Who would have thought the sequel to the most successful... the most successful movie of all time. The sequel to the most successful movie of all time will have a big opening. Who would have projected that? That is such a hot take. That's a roll of the dice, right? What is this?
Long-awaited sequel is launching around the world this weekend, including in China. Now, obviously, that is a big one because that's not somewhere that anybody's been able to get into. These Marvel movies haven't been released there. The DC movies, Black Adam, even with The Rock, couldn't get released there. Top Gun Maverick surely didn't get released there after they made sure to stick by their guns, not change anything just for a Chinese audience.
Wow, they like to simp for Top Gun Maverick so hard. Just so hard.
But James Cameron did get Avatar 2 in there, and that could be a massive addition to the box office, even though they won't see the returns that they would get from here domestic or other international places, studio-wise. James Cameron's Avatar, The Way of Water is finally setting sail. Hollywood and worried theater owners are counting on the long-awaited sequel to close out 2022 in grand fashion after a tough fall season. Tough fall season, certainly. The worst Thanksgiving box office in history. The worst September in history. Well, about 25 years. When you factor in inflation, certainly in history. But it's bad news right now when it comes to the theaters, when it comes to Hollywood. But it looks like this movie is set to do incredibly well. If tracking is correct, The Way of Water should score a domestic debut of $150 million, $170 million, and $750 to $550 million globally. I've seen some estimates that put it around $525. I've seen some that say it could hit nearly $600 million if everything goes right. There is the finale to the World Cup on Sunday globally that could have a decent effect on who goes out to see it this weekend. But still, we're talking about $500 million. That would dethrone.
Hey, well, Screedy, I don't want to hear you putting your facts. Ryan Kinel is explaining box office to us. And we know right now that if our Avatar 2 is successful, it means Disney is failing. I don't want to hear the fact that Avatar 2 is a Disney movie. Fuck you for saying that. Avatar 2 being successful means Disney is failing.
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness as the biggest global opening. Remember, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness opened to nearly $449 billion and then stalled out completely.
So if it opened to 440 and ended up at almost $1 billion, that means it made 500 million more. And big Marvel movies typically are going to have a big front end because everybody wants to go see the big event movie. I mean, I can't believe he's talking about this and missing the fact that it's almost $1 billion. And, it only made $400 million in its opening. Only made $400 million in its opening weekend. Only $400 million in its opening weekend. I can't stress the fact that he's trivializing $400 million for...
Like it didn't even get to $1 billion after that. I think Avatar 2 is going to have much bigger legs than these Marvel movies, but just think about this.
Well, literally the only Marvel movie that's been able to compete with the first Avatar is Endgame. And what does that prove? Avatar 2 becomes one of the biggest movies ever, which it might. What does that prove? What's that prove for Marvel? Nothing. Nothing. Almost no Marvel movie has been able to compete with the original Avatar. So what the fuck is your point?
If this number is correct, if we do see that type of opening, and then we see it continue to go out and make money, right now, most people do think it'll hit $2 billion, which is, a couple months ago, I thought that was insane to think about. I was thinking maybe $1 billion to $1.5 billion. Now I've had to say that I think it's going to make $2 billion. I really do with the numbers we're seeing. And it certainly needs to, because remember what James Cameron came out and said. Avatar 2 is so expensive, it must become the 4th or 5th highest grossing film in history just to break even.
Now, do you understand that just by saying that, that's actually pretty fucking awesome? I mean, the dude has such clout as a director. He can get a studio to fork over so much goddamn money that, it has to be one of the biggest movies in history to even break even. And you know what? They did it. They did it. And you know what? The reason they did it is because there's a decent chance it will. There's a decent chance they'll get that #1 spot. I mean, honestly, I don't know if any other director can get a studio to fork over that type of money except for James Cameron. Probably not.
That puts it at that $2 billion mark. Well, now that we're seeing some of the numbers for this, it does make sense. When you look at this, The Way of Water costing $350 million to $400 million to produce before marketing, that number now is official. We heard rumors about that for a while. It was supposed to originally only be a $250 million production budget. That ballooned. So if we're talking almost $400 million, on top of that, you add 150, maybe $200 million global marketing. That's a realistic number for a movie like this. Yeah, then it would have to do close to something like $2 billion globally, to really start making money. That's a real thing, especially if a lot of that's coming from China, where you only get 25% of the box office cuts. Internationally, you only get about 40% of the box office cut that goes back to the studio. So yeah, it could legitimately be something like that. But by all accounts right now, people are expecting it to dominate at the box office. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean for movies like this? Movies like
What does that mean for movies like Doctor Strange that made $952 million? Jesus Christ.
Strange Multiverse of Madness. What were the complaints? Well, just in a COVID world, despite a big open, in a COVID world, it just couldn't get $1 billion.
It couldn't get $1 billion. Oh my God. There's a huge range between a movie making $1 billion and a movie being unsuccessful, right? Right?
Thor: Love and Thunder, same thing. They blamed COVID. Wakanda Forever, same thing. They're blaming COVID. These are massive, big budget tentpoles for Marvel
Wakanda Forever is still in the box office, dude. It's still bringing them bank.
excuse the entire time has just been, well, in this world. No, the reality is they're turning fans away. They're pushing fans away. MCU Phase 4 was absolute dog shit. Nearly everything in it was very divisive to fans. And now they're not going to be able to hide behind that excuse.
Yes, everything in it was very divisive for fans, which is why Doctor Strange 2 made almost $1 billion.
When something like Avatar comes out and dominates, again, that's all assuming that these projections are accurate. But I have a feeling, you know, as well as all the other box office projections out there, have a feeling that the legs for something like this are going to be much better than what we've seen for Marvel. This is a franchise that's, you know, had people train to go out to the theaters, train to go out and support the next thing, support the current thing. Avatar 2 has been gone. Avatar has been gone for 13 years. And I don't even know how many people were begging for a sequel or anything like that, because let's face it, the first Avatar movie, culturally, does it really stand up? Does it stand out? I don't really think so.
You were just talking about how this movie's likely to make $2 billion. So obviously it's made enough of cultural impact to make $2 billion.
But nevertheless, people are now getting excited to go back to the theater and see what James Cameron has in store for this next iteration. I have no idea what to expect, if it's good or not, but I do know this thing's set to make a shit ton of money opening weekend. And in reality, they are going to completely debunk and embarrass all the people that have been making excuses for these dog
numbers have been down across the board. Pretty much any movie not titled Top Gun Maverick or Spider-Man No Way Home has been down. They're still making money, but they've been down. Avatar 2 will likely be a third exception, I think. Spider-Man No Way Home, it's pretty easy to guess that would be an exception. Top Gun Maverick, I had no idea. I was expecting that to be kind of, you know, mildly successful, but not huge.
Shit Marvel movies over the last few years. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section.
All right, that's all done. If you saw Will Screedy in the comments, I asked him if he wanted to come on because I know he knows more about box office than I do. So we're going to talk to him and get his thoughts on Ryan Kinel's box office analysis. Because, you know, he's really good. I'm in Discord startup. Here we go. You there? Hey, Charles.
Hello.
How did you like that box office analysis from Ryan Kinel?
I'm literally pacing. Like I don't have enough fucking Xanax in my house to calm me down from all that nonsense he was spitting.
I know.
Is he not?
Oh, go ahead.
First film to cross the $2 billion border was Avatar.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he talks like I love it when these fucking mouth breathers talk about box office like they know what the hell they're talking about. Mm-hmm. You can look this shit up. It's statistics. If you're gonna talk about numbers, look them up because they're numbers. They're right there for you to find.
Yes, it just just everything. Like all movies have been down across the board, but yet somehow if Avatar 2 is successful, it will prove that no movie was affected by COVID. What logic is this?
And the tone he used with the COVID. Yeah, actually, if you look at the numbers, you'll see that box office for every single movie, woke, non-woke, documentary, they've all been down to like a third of what they normally take in. Since 2019, every year has been down at least a third of what box office normally takes in. Box office normally takes in well north of $10 billion. Since 2020, it's been around 5 or so. So between Top Gun and now Avatar 2 alone, they're going to boost it to, you know, a decent year, like maybe 9 million this year, which still isn't back to normal. But you have these two huge monsters when it comes to Top Gun Maverick and Avatar 2, and it's still not good enough. So you're still going to get that same rhetoric, that little post-COVID, but because there's still places that they're China is still on lockdown. And I love that China stat that he spit out, like, oh, China, not Top Gun stood by its guns. No, China stood by its guns. They only allowed 23 American movies over, you fuck. Holy shit.
I know they limited. I didn't know the number. Yeah, I know there's only a certain number allowed in China. It gets insane.
Yeah, I think they allow one new movie a week, and half of them have to be domestic, as far as Chinese, not American domestic, but Chinese domestic. So, I can't get that stat.
So, I mean, Disney probably is careful with the movies they even opt into China. So, like, honestly, Avatar 2 honestly makes more sense than honestly anything else, because that's going to make money. Of course.
And he acts like James Cameron is this nobody.
Yeah.
Like, the guy who did the Terminator movies, the guy who did Avatar. What was before Avatar? Son of a bitch. Now I'm drawing a blank. Titanic, right. The other biggest movie ever before Avatar.
Yeah, no,
the guy made a movie about a sinking boat and he made it entertaining.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, James Cameron made the biggest movie of all time. And then he followed it up with the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah, so, and I would bet my dollars to donuts that Ryan Kinel's a prequel kid, and George Lucas. They would show behind the scenes footage. Oh, we're never going to catch Titanic. We're never going to catch Titanic. That was the only thing that Lucas was interested in those prequels. Was beating the box office record of a movie of a sinking boat, and that's all that those prequels were a sinking boat, not a box office success.
Well.
And here we are.
Yeah.
James Cameron is the king of the box office. Aliens, Terminator 2. What is it? What's the Schwarzenegger cop movie that I keep forgetting? With Jamie Lee Curtis that is firmly imprinted. True Lies. Yeah, that I'll never forget that. Jeez. For certain reasons, and it had great fight scenes in that movie.
It had great choreography.
So Top Gun is, and everybody glazes over Jurassic World. By the way, made $1 billion.
Jurassic World made $1 billion. Doctor Strange 2 almost made $1 billion, and they act like, these Marvel movies aren't making $1 billion, so that means they're a bomb. It's like there's a huge gulf between being a bomb and making $1 billion. I mean, are you serious?
Last year, for 21, Spider-Man: No Way Home barely came about 90 million short of $2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
The next movie down is The Battle at Lake Changjin, whatever the fuck, and it was a Korean film.
Yeah.
And it only made $900 million.
What a bomb. It must be disappointing.
Spider-Man was $1 billion ahead of the next highest thing at number one. And 2020 was just an outright disaster. The 800 was number one with 461 million.
Well, yeah.
Demon Slayer 453.
Yeah.
Bad Boys for Life was the highest American movie at 426.
Well, the theaters were shut down for most of 2020, and then now we're still recovering. I mean, I feel like every year we're getting better, but we're still recovering. We're not there yet. And
the $1 billion properties, and then you go to 2019, you have Endgame, which was 2019, 2.8 million, we'll call it. 2.8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Lion King, 1.6 billion. Frozen 2, 1.45 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home, 1.13 billion. Captain Marvel, 1.12 billion. Joker, 1.07 billion. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, 1.07 billion. Toy Story 4, 1.07 billion. Aladdin, 1.05 billion. Do you notice a trend in all of those movies? Who are the studios that put those movies out? Wait, let's see. Disney, partially Disney, Warner, Good for you, Warner.
Yeah.
Disney, and Disney.
Yeah.
It's friggin' 9 movies to 1 from 2019 to 2021. We've only had one multi-billion-dollar film in the worldwide box office, and it was Spider-Man last year, which came very close to 2 billion. And by the way, it's part of the Disney verse. So whatever you want to say about that.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to address the elephant in the room. Box office has tanked ever since 2020 because 2020 was a big event. 2020 was when all the studios came together and said, we're going to put woke shit in movies. And that was the only thing that happened to movies. There's nothing else to happen in theaters.
Yeah. 2019. Like all the movies I just listed. Aladdin, the 1.05. Captain Marvel came number 5. That woke ass movie from that actress. What's her name?
I've never heard
$1.12 billion. Yeah. I'm white, so I don't know what the hell. I don't care.
Yeah.
Frozen 2, 1.45. The Lion King remake, 1.65. Get the hell out of here. Like, don't talk. Facts don't care about your feelings, Ryan.
I think I'm not ready to wrap up, but it was good talking to you because, you know the facts, and I just have. Like I know enough to disprove him, but like you're like, oh yeah, here are the numbers, and it's like Jesus Christ.
Wait, hold on. Top worldwide grosses is still Avatar, $2.92 billion.
I know.
Number 2, Avengers, 2.79. Number 3, Titanic, 2.2 billion. Yeah, so the guy's got 2 out of the top 3 top grossers of all time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people are going to run out to see his shit.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. James can't they like to talk about that article saying it needs to make 2 billion as if like, oh wow, there's no way it'll make that. It's like, dude, I almost feel like he's bragging at this point. It's like, dude, the studio is just shoveling money his way. Like,
2.2 billion from a movie from 1997. I don't even know what the hell that is in today's numbers. That's probably better.
Yeah,
that's probably like 3.5 billion.
Exactly. It's just James Cameron is a director that studios at this point will likely just shovel monies to because he's already getting a record. Okay, I'm going to release the biggest movie of all time, and then I'm going to release the biggest movie of all time, and then maybe he'll do it 3 times in a row. It's not impossible, and the fact that it's not impossible is fucking bragging rights.
Right.
I'm sure.
Like he did Terminator. People are like, ooh, this Cameron guy is pretty good. And then he made Aliens, and people are like, whoa, what the shit? What's going on here? And then he comes out with Terminator 2, and the next thing you know, he's a bona fide action director hero, and the guy is just printing box office money ever since. He made a movie about a sinking boat, and he made it the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, no,
it was a love story dressed in a sinking boat.
It's crazy. Thanks for coming on, man. No, I
appreciate you letting him yell at something that's not my TV.
I was like, oh, I know him. He probably wants to let off some steam because, like I said, I know enough to know this is full of shit. But I'm like, you're gonna come in with some numbers, and that nice. He's gonna come.
It's not that hard.
No,
it just look it up. Like, why does it have to be about woke agenda? They're just numbers.
Yeah,
they predict when they talk about the 60%. What did he call the biggest box office failure ever? Oh, the Me Too, She Said movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You mean the movie with the $3 million budget that made $10 million? Oh, what a disaster!
Yeah, exactly. They don't look at this and. Yeah, it drives me nuts. Like he even looked up some of the numbers, and he's talking about how Doctor Strange 2 was a failure, making $952 million.
He's like,
drunk.
Are you
talking about? Oh yeah, they're like, we only made almost $1 billion. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could see it making $2 billion now after reading this. Well, then you're an idiot. What are you talking about movies for? You, don't talk about box office. How about that? If you're surprised at the idea of a movie that's been 12 years in the making, and it's not like James Cameron's been dropping 3 or 4 movies in between on us. It's been Avatar, some little rinky-dink thing for National Geographic about surprise, water, and we're just waiting on him to make this Avatar. What sixology, whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah.
However many avatries he's going to make. This is we're waiting on this for over a decade. Yeah, it's gonna be a big deal, guy. Like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Oh, talking about women and roller reversal.
We gotta talk about that Harvey
swapping.
Weinstein movie. What? I mean, just ignoring all context. I mean, She Said is going to, if it gets nominated for an Oscar, it's going to make its money back. In fact, it's already made its money back, so I don't even know why it's talked about. It's going to make more money. It's going to be a flat out success.
It was never intended. It was never intended to be a movie that was supposed to draw in audiences.
Yeah.
First of all, I could watch it on Amazon right now. So there's that. I mean, it's not like they were thinking, all right, guys, we got to cross the $50 million border. Otherwise, we're fucked.
No, dude.
That was never the case.
Dude, any movie that doesn't make $1 billion is a failure. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. They made a movie very similar called Bombshell, which had star power. Mm-hmm. This movie very much does not have star power. I spoke about it in one of my live streams before. Carrie Mulligan. She averages like 4.6 million per movie she's in. Averages. And this movie's brought in 10. So, they got a good ROI, which is called return on investment. There's not a chance in hell that a Hollywood movie that talks about one of the biggest Hollywood tycoons of the last 30 years or so, doing some very naughty things, that they were going to try to capitalize on that, because there's still a bunch of people that haven't been brought out yet. Shocker. If you want to go and approach it by that angle, you have plenty of road to drive on, because listen, Hollywood's still got a bunch of people. Hollywood has always been that way. You've had Polanski, you've had Woody Allen. If you wanted to take it in that direction, you have footing. But to talk about the money behind a movie with women in it, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot for taking that approach.
Yeah.
Fuck. I hate it when people talk about box office like that, like that's the end all be all. Oh, worst movie ever. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's doing better than The Fabelmans, you dolt. What the hell are you talking about? A Spielberg movie.
I didn't think about that. Jesus. Yeah, Fabelmans.
Well, The Fabelmans is partial. They're I think Apple owns it, so they're gonna Apple Plus that thing.
Oh, okay, that's what's going on with it. Yeah, no.
I think. I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, we saw
facts don't care about my thoughts.
Yeah, we saw the huge ad campaign for She Said, so it's shocking that only brought in.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I was just engulfed. I can't tell you how much marketing on She Said. Like every time I turn on my phone, just She Said. Every time I'd go try to watch a YouTube video, She Said, ads for She Said. When I normally get Manscaped videos, I was actually getting She Said intros, and it's just like, dude, enough already. I get it. You've got this movie called She Said. I'm not going to spend money to watch it. That marketing.
And now we have
I've never heard of the movie
called Avatar 2. It's always good talk to you.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
indeed. Sorry, sir. Didn't mean to mathy with you.
I enjoy talking with you, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. Thanks for bringing in some facts, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
They think Order and chaos are somehow opposites, and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.